My story is basically how God has loved me so many times, and one of the examples that I can bring forth today is when I was younger. I was approximately 16. I I went to high school like everybody else, and I had a friend, and his name was Dago, and he apparently was a cool friend. He would always welcome me to his house. It comes a day that I go out and I'm having a good time. I go to this event called Border Fest, and they had a dance going on. There was some girls there, and basically one of them started talking to me. They were twin girls, so they come with me. I have a friend that comes with me. We go, we have a good time, and as we're coming back, I let the other girl, the other twin that had not been with me, I let her drive. They stop us, and I I hide my gun. I had a gun, and they stop us. They let us go. The officer tells me go home, but one of the girls tells me take me back to the event that you took me from because my sister's there. As I'm dropping her off, dropping them off, I remember I had another friend with me. And this friend, he stayed in the vehicle. I dropped them off, and I all of a sudden see that they start an altercation with my friend, my passenger. They hit him, and when they hit him, he tells me, "Hey, they hit me," and I go, "Well, react." And he's like, "No." So I see a shadows behind my vehicle, and I hear a gunshot. When I hear that gunshot, I become alert, and what I do is I open my door, and there's this guy trying to attack me, and I fight with him, I struggle, and all of a sudden it's his brother trying to, him and his brother trying to fight me. So I get in my vehicle, thinking I had my gun. To my surprise, I had stashed it when the police officer stopped me. So when I reach down, I all of a sudden see an officer turn. When he turns, he stops frantically. And that's when I see my friend on the side of my car. And he tells me, "Albert, go to hell, Albert." And he shoots me 5 times. And I see the bullets come out of the gun. But I don't feel them. So when I see this officer, I see a flash in that windshield from that officer. And that flash, what it was, he shot him. He didn't get off the vehicle. He shot him, and I see him, and I just see his intestines fly from the back, and I'm shocked. But I'm trying to get off. But this hand, the hand, he shot me on my left hand. I'm trying to use it. So that's when I push. When I push the door, I see the splatter come out. And I actually put my finger in the hole because I couldn't believe it was my friend shooting me. I put the finger in there and he shot me. I get off. I go after him thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. Both of us get right in front of the officer. And the officer has us at point blank, pointing his weapon at us. He shoots him one more time, right here. When I get up, to my surprise, they were both gone. I get in the car, I get out. The guys that were fighting me are back. And they tell me, "Hey, because of you, our cousin got shot." And I go, and the friend that was with me tells them, "Hey, leave him alone. Look at how he is. He's all bullet ridden." So by this time, I hit one of them, and that's when I hear the third gunshot. And I think this was the fatal shot that killed the guy. I get back in my car. I try to drive off, but since one of them hit my chest, it hit my lung, it collapsed, and I collapsed, and I crashed because I passed out. I wake up, I'm at the hospital, and I see some people pushing something. They were pushing blood back in me. What I'm trying to tell you is sometimes the friend you think is your friend is not. Sometimes There's envy. Sometimes there's hate. But they act like they're your friends. And I think that's what happened to me this day. I trusted this man, this guy. But who I should have trusted was God. He saved me. I had not given my life to the Lord, but He still had the mercy to save me. That day, I felt I was the luckiest guy in the world because I had just been shot and I was still alive. But little did I know that it was God's plan. He was calling me. He was telling me that He loved me. Fast forward 2016, I have a very bad accident. It was me, my wife, my daughter. We had picked up my wife at her employment at a local hospital. We were coming down Loop 20. We were actually coming to church. And all of a sudden, a car comes out of nowhere at a very high rate of speed. It was coming at least 100. And I see him coming, and I see his tire wobble. And when I see his tire wobble, I just see the white car airborne, and it hits me. But the first miracle was I saw my child, my 4-year-old son. I saw him trembling. He was scared. He saw a lot of blood. They took us down. I automatically thought about my daughter. Are you okay? And she told me, yes, I'm okay, Daddy. I'm okay. Are you sure? Yes, Daddy. I turned around to look at my wife, and she was knocked out. I thought she was dead. But I woke her up regardless, and she was screaming her lungs out. They get me down. They get my daughter down. But they never showed me my daughter. I never saw her. She was severely injured. She had got into my seat, and there was a metal rod within that seat that embedded in her forehead. It basically broke her frontal lobe, broke her eye socket, broke her nose and her teeth. She was in critical condition, and I didn't even know it. I had not even seen it. I don't remember how I got to the hospital. I just know that a police officer woke me up with a camera taking pictures of my injuries. And to my surprise, he was my friend. And I asked him, hey, how are my kids? He tells me, your son, he's okay. Your wife, she's broken. What about my daughter? I'll be right with you. I saw in his face how he didn't want to tell me. My brother-in-law comes into the room and tells me, your daughter's not going to make it. I go, what do you mean she's not going to make it? She's not going to make it. She's very critical. And I see a nurse pass, and I ask her, how's my daughter? And she basically told me, if you know how to pray, pray. She's not doing good. At that moment, I knew that I had to make a pact with God. And what I told God was this. I told him, Lord, if you save my daughter, if you heal her completely, I'll make a pact with you today that I'll serve you. And I'll serve you like I've never served you before. I heard the chopper, and I knew that, she was gonna leave because it was, she was very, very broken. She was vomiting blood already, and I realized that, we were trusting in God. I was trusting in God. I had made a pact with Him because that's what He had wanted ever since I got shot. But they fixed her up. She had her eye out. Her socket was shattered. They put back her eye. They put a metal plate. They started with an 11-hour surgery and ended up with another 14-hour surgery. I want to say God supplied in every way His blessings for my daughter, for my wife, and for me. Even my son, he did not have a scratch. But I believe that it was the trust I had in him. I really believe that God heard me that day. And something I know, in order for you to receive a miracle, you have to convince God. You might think you have the people around you convinced, but he knows when you're real and when you're not. And that day I know he knew I was real, and I was wanting to make this compromise with him because there was no other way but his way. And today I encourage you to trust in God like I did that day in that emergency room. I trusted in him, and I now have my whole family serving him because of the compromise and the obedience that he's seen in me. But I believe that he has a purpose for you too. God bless you, and thank you for hearing my testimony.